Hi everyone, I'm Bruno Ziza, the head of data and analytics at Google, and I'm excited to share with you over the next 20 minutes insights I've gathered over the last 3 decades on a topic I'm particularly interested in, the role that data has in your success, your career, and the acceleration of your company's transformation. Now today, we're going to talk about the connection between your approach to data warehousing, modern data warehousing, and how it can connect with an exceptional business intelligence and analytics experience. We're here because we know that business intelligence success can be directly linked to the acquisition of an exceptional modern data warehouse. So we're going to talk about 3 key topics today. One, we're going to talk about examples of organizations who have succeeded in their journey. I'll point you to examples of companies like Verizon, the New York Times, or the Golden State Warriors. We will also cover the key components that you have to take into account in order to succeed across technology, business, and finally, 3, I will leave you with a checklist that you can apply to your next choices so you can drive the most exceptional BI experience for your people, might there be your employees, your customers, or your partners. But first, let me start with a story of Nikhil Mishra. Nikhil is a senior director of engineering at Verizon Media, and when Nikhil started on his journey to the cloud, he did what many of us do. He checked the benchmarks, he evaluated some of the technologies via pilots. But what he found out, as you'll read in this blog, is that choosing a data platform is a lot more complicated than just testing it against standard benchmarks. Now, sure, benchmarks are always helpful to get you started, but there's nothing like testing your data platform against real-world scenarios. So in this blog that I'm pointing you to right now, you'll be able to read about the discipline Nikhil and his team have applied to compare Google with alternative data clouds and look at how the platform that he chose performed best and why his team ended up choosing BigQuery and Looker. Now, this discipline and the discipline of many other customers is what has guided today's presentation, and I'm excited to share their insights with you. Now, today we'll only have time to cover a few of these stories, of course, but if you want to learn from others, make sure to subscribe to our Data Journeys program. This is a weekly series where I interview for you leaders in the industry who have experienced incredible success with their digital transformation. The URL is pretty straightforward. It's ge.co/cloud/data journeys, and I hope to see you there. All right, so we've talked about the 3 areas that need to be part of your evaluation. We talked about capabilities, business, and technology. Let's get started with capabilities first. Now, in this section, we're going to talk about what customers call the alls. What do I mean by that? Well, at the end of last year, Forrester predicted that 20% of Fortune 500 companies will not survive in their current form by the end of 2021. They said that the ones that will survive will know how to transform digitally, physically, and emotionally. Now, the point here is that we never want to waste the opportunity of a great modernization. And modernization means more than just lifting and shifting what you're currently doing on premises. It means that you have the opportunity to think broader than you might be doing right now. We work with many organizations that go through this very exercise, and they find that the process of modernization gives them the opportunity to think bigger and to think broader. They consider all the data, all the analytics, all the speeds, all the locations, all the time for all their users. So let's get started with the users, and I'm starting with users intentionally because your platform is used by people, and innovation occurs when your systems connect with all your people. Now, the industry has learned this the hard way in the last 30 years. According to a Dimensional Data Survey, 90% of employees say their work is slowed by unreliable data sources. 86% of analysts struggle with data that's out of date. When it comes to satisfying the needs of your users, nobody wants to waste the opportunity of a great transformation. You have in front of you an amazing opportunity to change the picture here. So as you get started, categorize the population of your users across the organization, not just by titles, but by objectives, by jobs, by teams. You don't have to follow the standard titles that the industry might have, shared with you. This slide is just directional guidance. My suggestion, based on what the best of the best have done and what I've seen in the industry, is that they start with the users, they interview them, they build true empathy and understanding for what their goals are, the tasks that need to be accomplished, the circumstances, the hassles that they have to deal with, and they equipped with that data, they can build systems around their users. Now, we now have software that offers this flexibility to do just that. So start with the users and build around them. You noted here on this slide that I use the term machine use as part of your user population. This is an important consideration as you move forward in your journey. Embedded machine learning is a strong accelerator of innovation, and embedded here is the keyword. We know that the use of machine learning is not widespread across their industry yet. According to a recent IDC survey, only 21% of companies said that they have deployed AI across the business. And I often joke that for AI to be effective, it needs to stand more than just artificial intelligence. AI needs to stand for applied and invisible. You truly benefit from AI when it's embedded in your processes, when it's applied, and when your users can benefit from it because it's part of the platform that they consume, when it's invisible to their daily use. Now, you might have heard of BigQuery ML, or as we call it here, BQML. BQML is an important component of our platform because it's built-in machine learning capabilities. It comes with BigQuery, so you don't have to worry about integration issues. It lets anyone build and operationalize machine learning models using simple SQL directly from BigQuery. This means no data movement, no new infrastructure you have to manage, and it's interoperable with cloud AI for advanced use cases. This approach has really allowed us to advance our goal to democratize machine learning. Over 80% of our top 100 customers, in fact, use BigQuery ML today. With BQ and BQML, I always say you are 2 clicks from machine learning. So in your choice to a modern data warehouse, I encourage you to be wary of solutions that have machine learning that's bolted on. You want to choose machine learning that's built in so you can give your organization the opportunity to out-innovate the rest of the market. Now, if you're in the data business, you know about the importance of data timeliness. Historical data, of course, is needed to get context around the events that have occurred. Batch data is needed to respond with intelligence to business events just in time. And real time is needed to respond with intelligence to business events as they occur. And so real time is no longer an option. It's a key requirement for your modern data warehouse product. It's an enabler of rich data experiences you're building around your data. According to Gartner, 75% of enterprises will shift from piloting to operationalizing AI and drive a 5x increase of streaming data and analytics infrastructure by 2024. So real-time is a foundational capability of your modern data warehouse. It's important today, and as you can see, it's going to be more than doubly important tomorrow. That is why with BigQuery, you benefit from an enterprise data warehousing solution that provides both batch and streaming mode inside the same infrastructure. We're not going to go through the technical details of this slide, so don't worry, but I wanted you to have it so you can share it with your technical team as you're going through the selection process of the right data warehousing product for your business intelligence experience. So at this point, we've talked about all users, all data speeds, and what about all the data? If you're running a data team, you know about the value of your operational and transactional data, and you also know about the value of semi-structured data. We know that the intelligence gleaned from structured and semi-structured data together is superior to the intelligence gained from either one of these systems by themselves. Think, for instance, about analysis that requires customer data from, let's say, a call center transcript, likely is going to be text, purchase transactions, structured information, and clickstream information, likely semi-structured. An important consideration of your choice here is picking a platform that supports all of this. And perhaps as important is the simplicity or the easiness that your team is going to have to be able to move from one data type to the other. So take, for instance, the built-in integration between BigQuery, our enterprise data warehousing solution, and Spanner, our distributed relational database service. Spanner is designed to support global online transaction processing deployments. It's highly available, provides features like global transactions, strongly consistent reads, and automatic multi-site replication and failover. When you use BigQuery, you're really only 2 clicks away from Spanner. Just like you were 2 clicks away from machine learning earlier, you can now easily access Cloud Spanner directly from BigQuery for analysis. So as you can see, we have spent a lot of time thinking about how we can make it easier for your people to work with data. But regardless, if you choose BigQuery or not, it's important that you think about these scenarios ahead of making a decision. Can your data warehousing solution support easy access to transaction information? It might not be a critical component today, but believe me, it will become a critical component tomorrow. This section would not be complete if I didn't talk about the importance of global consistency and global availability. Regardless if you're a brick and mortar business or your business was just disrupted by the recent pandemic, you know about the opportunity with data and you know that it's a global one. So it's important that you bet on a data warehousing solution that covers global expansion and provides built-in governance globally. And then finally, the business of data is no longer a luxury. It's a business critical capability. So it needs to be up all the time, at least close to all the time. And anything less than 5 nines uptime is simply unacceptable at this point. All right, so we have now talked about all the alls, all the users, all the data, all the speeds, the locations, the type of analysis, and availability all the time. Let's now put our attention to our next section, the technology disruptions happening in our space that you need to think about when choosing the right data warehousing product for an exceptional BI experience. Now, lots, of course, is going on in our space, but there's at least one trend you, I'm sure, have noticed in our space. According to Gartner, 75% of all databases will be deployed or migrated to a cloud platform by 2022. Now, of course, there are many ways to think about the cloud. You can choose to lift and shift your on-prem database and host it in a cloud that the vendor manages for you, that you manage yourself. But the most transformative way to have your database in the cloud is to pick a solution that is designed to run in the cloud. What do I mean by cloud first? Well, it means separation of storage and processing. It means taking advantage of auto-scaling capabilities. And it also means low maintenance, low configuration needs. In other words, it means freeing up time for your team to work with the data rather than work for the data. Now, this cloud nativity concept is important when all your data is in one cloud, but it's all the more important when the data you need to work with is spread across multiple clouds. According to the 2021 State of the Cloud report by Flexera, 92% of businesses in 2021 report having a multi-cloud strategy. So that means companies are running in a multi-cloud world today, and they will run in a multi-cloud world tomorrow. This makes a lot of sense. Your current company might be the result of combined entities, maybe acquired, maybe empowered, who have picked data across multiple clouds. You might partner with companies whose data is in another cloud than the cloud that you've chosen for your team or your company. And you might have decided to engineer in the multi-cloud environment because of industry regulations. Despite the fact that your data might be distributed, your access to it should not feel like it is. So when choosing a data warehousing solution, exceptional means that it's multi-cloud ready. And that means that it runs exactly the same on different cloud providers. It means that you can query across multiple cloud providers from the same interface. It does not mean having separate control panels for different clouds. It's really one single control panel across multiple cloud providers. Now, when you start thinking about your data warehouse as the epicenter of your data ecosystem, new opportunities will present themselves to you. Data sharing is a great example. And here's the good news. According to Gartner, organizations that promote data sharing will outperform their peers on most business value metrics by 2023. However, at the same time, the firm predicts that through 2022, less than 5% of data sharing programs will correctly identify trusted data and locate trusted data sources. Now, why is that? Well, we believe that data sharing, of course, has been here for a long time. I think this is a concept that originated in 1990. And the practice, frankly, has been fairly difficult or incomplete. Lots of problems with data sharing the old way. Data sharing the old way requires batch data pipelines that will extract data from databases, store it into flat files, and transmit it into yet another database. Data sharing the old way is labor intensive, it's wastefully costly, and sometimes it can bypass critical data governance processes. So data sharing the old way, I always say it's like giving a gift card to someone for their birthday. It's a great thought, but for them to consume the value of the data, they actually have to do a lot of work. So we have learned from the thousands of organizations that have shared petabytes of data on our platform. And when we look at how they do data sharing, they think about it in a much broader way. They think about analytics sharing. They look for a system that allows them to publish, discover, subscribe to shared assets. They look for a system that lets them create, curate internal and external exchanges that can combine Google datasets with commercial, industry, and public datasets. And they look for a system that lets them understand by looking at viewed aggregate usage metrics so they can know what exchanges are most popular. So when it comes to data sharing, I suggest that you think about it like they do and you think about changing the game. In fact, to change the game, there is no better player than the Golden State Warriors. This exceptional basketball team won my Customer Award of the Week just a few months ago because of the work that they've done with data. Their team used to spend 70% of its time collecting and shaping the data. Now they have a real-time pipeline for faster analytics on high volume across multiple clouds. So I invite you to take a look at this blog. It's informative. I found it to be very entertaining, and dare I say, I think that it was a slam dunk for Steve Kerr and his team of data warriors. All right, so we've talked about capabilities and technologies. What's left? Well, 2 important criteria and 2 fun stories to wrap this session. Cost is always an important component in your selection, of course. And if you remember the Verizon customer story I started with, they talked about scale, performance, and cost. You will find this perspective across the many customers who have chosen to bring Looker and BigQuery together. Looker is an incredible platform companies use to build data-rich experiences that users want to spend a lot of time with. And BigQuery is an infinitely scalable data warehouse that allows you to bring your insights consumer in a limited amount of data at incredible scale and speed. So why is it that companies like Carrefour, the 8th largest retailer in the world by revenue, can say that TCO, total cost of ownership, was lower than before, despite the fact that they ingest over 2 terabytes per day into their 700 terabyte data warehouse, serving more than 80 applications, executing 100 million API calls every month? It's because these customers benefit from flexible and controlled spending capabilities from their data warehousing vendor. I highly, highly recommend that you study up the various pricing options your vendor offers. Many will look cheap with small data, but as your success grows, you might find unpleasant surprises. With BigQuery, customers can pay per query, and they can pay by flat rate. It's committed and predictable price that they can set monthly and yearly. And they can also use flex slots. Think about flex slots as a burst capacity that you can pay for by the minute, the hour, or the day. What's even better is that customers can mix and match these modes. So as you can see in this example right here, a customer could use flat rate for scheduled jobs like BI or standard ETL jobs, pay per query for urgent one-time inventory analysis, and use flex slots for predictable, spiky workloads like a Monday morning ETL job or financial reporting. As part of your flat rate plan, you can also assign reservations to workloads. So say, for instance, that you can have 1,000 slots that'll be assigned for ETL and 4,000 that'll be assigned to BI. And what's even cooler is that if these workloads don't behave as assigned and the resources are becoming underused, BigQuery will reassign the slots on the fly to make sure that your people will get the best price and performance. This is another great example of automation at scale and at work while enabling administrators to keep control. You'll also want to make sure that your platform allows you to monitor your spend easily. Well, guess what? We have a Looker block for that. Using the Google Cloud Cost Management block, you can easily visualize billing data using Looker, and you can even customize your dashboards to get a full understanding of cost recommendations. These capabilities and many others are some of the reasons for why companies like the New York Times can scale without fear. At the end of last year, the New York Times experienced their most significant traffic recorded ever, 273 million global readers, and 4 straight days of the highest traffic they'd ever had compared to any election week. This can sound scary, and instead of being scared, look at what Ed, their data leader, said in this blog. I relaxed and I ate a pint of ice cream because I was able to easily manage our data environment, allowing us to set and meet higher expectations for data ingestion, analysis, insights among our partners in the newsroom. It's one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite quotes, and I wish you the same experience as the New York Times with your data warehousing choice. So we have covered a lot today, and I hope that you have found the session both useful and enjoyable. As promised, I leave you with a checklist that you can apply to your next choices so you can drive the most exceptional BI experience for your people, your employees, your customers, and your partners. I want to thank you for the time today. If there's anything I can do to help you in your data journey, please don't hesitate to contact me directly on LinkedIn. Thank you.